Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled Mercenaries. Let's get straight into the storyline. The story begins with the daughter of the President of the United States, Elise, on a humanitarian trip to Kazakhstan with her bodyguards. However, their convoy was stopped on the way because a car was blocking their way. Feeling that there was a problem, one of the security guards went out to investigate, and the driver claimed that his car had broken down, but this was actually a ruse, as a group of rebels suddenly ambushed the convoy with gunfire. Amidst the chaos, Elise escapes into the forest, where she meets the rebel leader, a crazy young woman named Ulrika. Meanwhile, at CIA headquarters, Security Chief Mona receives photographs and footage of Elise's kidnapping. In the video, Ulrika demands that the US government recognize her as Kazakhstan's rightful president. She also warned that if the United States intervened militarily, she would not hesitate to kill Elise. Then, a CIA analyst named Bobby provided background on Ulrika. She was a notorious female warlord who, along with her trusted lieutenant, Grigory, had become a thorn in the flesh of the Kazakh government. Ulrika herself harbors a deep distrust of men, with Grigory being the exception. That is why the best strategy to save Elise is to mobilize an all-female army. Mona then compiled a list of suitable candidates, all the most dangerous and deadly women. She then gathered the 4 selected inmates in a room and introduced them to each other. The first is Mei Lin, an expert bomb maker. Then there's Kat Morgan, a former US Navy sniper. Clay is a former Special Forces commando. And finally, Raven, a former assassin. Mona then briefed them on their mission, which would run without military support, and appointed Clay as their team leader. Mona also explains the benefits if they successfully complete this mission, which guarantees their release from prison. When Clay inquired about their departure, it was revealed that they were on a military aircraft bound for Kazakhstan. Upon arrival, they were given clothes and equipment to replace their prisoner uniforms, and to prevent them from escaping, GPS tracking chips were implanted in their bodies. Disguised as locals, they were driven around the area by a local driver named Vez. On the way, however, they were intercepted by Ulrika rebel forces. Although their driver was used to passing through security checkpoints, one of the rebels insisted on checking the contents of the vehicle. Realizing that the passengers were women, the squad leader then asked for one of them to be given to him. Clay was chosen as the most seductive, but the notoriously arrogant and aggressive Clay immediately attacked him, leading to a shootout. The 4 women quickly finished off the entire enemy squad, with Kat shooting dead a member who tried to escape. Clay then contacted Mona to inform her about the death of their driver and the damaged vehicle. Clay asked Mona to cancel the mission, as they had no idea how to get into Kazakhstan. However, Mona forbade Clay from canceling this mission and told Clay and her team to find another way into Kazakhstan. As a result, the team was forced to continue their journey on foot, and finally, they arrived at a deserted village. They then met Lexi, a young girl who offered help to Clay and her team. Lexi then explained that the only way to infiltrate Ulrika's fortress was to seize a truck to supply weapons to Ulrika's troops. In exchange for her information, Lexi asked her to be taken to America after completing their mission. 2 hours later, a truck carrying illegal weapons arrived at the village. Clay and her team set up at the designated location, with Clay shooting one of the truck's tires and boarding the vehicle. Mei Lin then set off a smoke bomb to stop the truck so the women could immobilize the driver and check the contents. They then found 2 missiles that were to be sent to Ulrika's group, and Clay decided to use them as cover to infiltrate the Citadel. Arriving at the Citadel, which used to be a prison, Clay and her team met with Ulrika and Grigory.
You've earned 30 seconds of my time.
During the negotiations, Clay offered Mei Lin as an additional hostage by claiming that she was the daughter of a wealthy businessman from China. By keeping Mei Lin as a hostage, Ulrika can blackmail her father for the ransom money. Pleased with her new female business partners, Ulrika invited them in and tipped Lexi for her services. Clay and her team passed through several doors locked with a code inside the Citadel. They then put Mei Lin into a special room to be kept. Ulrika then took Clay to a room, and she conversed with Clay over drinks. It turns out that Ulrika does not trust Clay that quickly because Clay's incident appeared after Elise's kidnapping, so Ulrika suspects that Clay's arrival is to free Elise. Meanwhile, Kat tries to find Elise's whereabouts. She deliberately makes the guard in the monitor room drunk by inviting him to drink with her.
That never heals the more you lick it.
Meanwhile, Raven is assigned to secure the escape vehicle. Finding herself now in a room outside the headquarters, she approaches two rebels who are playing cards. Not long after playing cards, Grigori suddenly confronted her, and Raven quickly retrieved her hidden weapon and shot the two guards before lunging at Grigori. Back to Ulrika, who suddenly got a call from her men. Seeing Ulrika, who was off guard, Clay took the opportunity to attack Ulrika and knock her out.
Fucking time.
Clay and Kat worked together to save Maylin and then rushed to save the trapped Elise.
Oh. Raven, how are we at the motorpool?
After that, they all immediately left the place and met up with Raven outside to immediately escape by car. But as they approached the car, Raven suddenly attacked Maylin and pointed a gun at them. It turned out that Raven had teamed up with Ulrika to trap Clay and her team.
My weapon.
Bottle of single malt.
Because she was cornered, Maylin then threw a bomb from her shirt button at Raven, and the explosion triggered a fierce shootout. Clay then managed to escort Elise to safety, but they were cornered on the roof of the building. The only way to save themselves was to jump into a truck parked below. But before Elise could jump, Ulrika caught up with her and shot Clay, causing her to fall onto the moving truck below. Ulrika then recaptured Elise and brought her back into the base while Clay, who apparently still survived the shooting, jumped from the moving truck. Clay then walked through the forest area. Clay then observed a car approaching and witnessed two of Ulrika's men dumping a body. After taking a closer look, she was surprised to find that the corpse was Lexi. Furious over the death of the innocent girl, Clay decided to take revenge on Ulrika. She then infiltrated the citadel once again and eliminated the guards. Meanwhile, Ulrika was torturing the captive Kat and Maylin cruelly before ordering Grigori to torture them. But Grigori was distracted by news of the ongoing attack on their base. He then assigned a bodyguard to watch Kat and Maylin while he investigated the situation outside. Clay is seen continuing to attack the guards single-handedly, using a combination of hand-to-hand combat and gunfighting to take them all out. Clay then managed to infiltrate the citadel and rescue Kat and Maylin, who were being held captive. They also managed to free all the prisoners held by Ulrika. Surprised by the prisoners' escape, Grigori immediately reported the incident to Ulrika. Ulrika then asked Raven to help Grigori recapture the prisoners. In one of the rooms, Kat attacks Grigori and entangles him with a chain, but Kat does not immediately kill Grigori. She tells one of the prisoners who has a grudge against Grigori to avenge him. Raven unfortunately managed to capture Elise and held her at gunpoint. Raven and Ulrika then took Elise away through a hidden passage.
Jesus, help me. Clay!
Maylin suspected the tunnel might lead to the church closest to the Citadel fortress, so they rushed to the church to stop Ulrika and Raven. Ulrika, Raven, and Elise were seen exiting the tunnel and entering a church. Clay then appeared wearing a suicide bomb vest. Clay then threatened to destroy the building along with Ulrika and Raven. Raven, however, thinks that Raven's threat is just a bluff, but Ulrika takes it seriously and hands Elise over to Clay. Clay and Elise then headed to a jeep parked outside the church, where Kat awaited them. They finally managed to escape from the citadel. A shootout ensues, with Kat and Clay taking turns firing at the rebel forces chasing them. Finally, Kat managed to finish them all off. After escaping, they then headed to the airport to use the Air Force plane stolen by Ulrika to escape. Maylin prepares to pilot the plane when Ulrika and Raven catch up with them.
Been cleared to taxi by me.
Moments later, Ulrika managed to jump into the aircraft. Meanwhile, Maylin, who saw Raven continuing to chase their plane, quickly tilted the plane and surprised Raven, who tried to avoid it but instead crashed into a truck and made a big explosion, which immediately killed Raven. Meanwhile, inside the aircraft cabin, Ulrika shoots at Clay and Kat. One bullet even redeeming the cockpit of the aircraft and injuring Maylin's shoulder. However, Clay defeats Ulrika and throws her from the top of the plane, making her fall into a building and die in the explosion. Meanwhile, Mona and Bobby contacted the radar center to track Elise's plane. Shortly after that, Bobby directed Mona's gaze upwards, towards the faltering Air Force plane that was approaching them. Maylin finally manages to land the plane safely, and Clay, Kat, Maylin, and Elise get off the plane.
That bitch's wings have been clipped.
Elise expresses her gratitude to the three strong women and vows to ask her father to give them proper credit for saving her.
You guys get your pardons?
And the movie is over. Don't forget to click subscribe, like, and comment.